Free. Hello, Namaskar, and welcome to the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. Why does it appear as if the BJP is sitting in the opposition benches and the Congress Party and the India Alliance is sitting in the Treasury benches? Why does it appear as if the BJP has lost the elections and the Congress Party and the India Alliance has won the elections? Why does it appear as if the BJP is completely confused on its role, on its identity, and what it has to do next, while the Congress Party especially is crystal clear on the road ahead and what it has to do next? I'm going to discuss all that in this particular podcast. I'm going to discuss the strategy, what the Congress is deploying in its new avatar as the face of the opposition. I'm also going to discuss the confusion of the BJP, the missteps they have taken ever since these elections have come to an end, because it's been more than a month since the elections have come to an end, and therefore a lot has happened in this past 1 month. I'm going to discuss all that in this particular podcast. But before I do that, I would urge all of you to subscribe to my channel. The subscription, of course, is completely free. All you have to do is to press on the red button on your screen. Subscription is free, as I have said, and I promise you that my podcasts are different, with engaging completely different ideas. So let's get the ball rolling and first understand the confusion of the BJP. The fact of the matter is that the BJP, and this appears to me, and I'm talking here as an observer, I'm not passing a comment on the BJP or what it is doing or not doing, but I'm basically commenting on when I look from the outside at what's going on with the BJP. The BJP, it appears to me, is in denial. It is denial that something has changed in these elections. Some ground has certainly shifted in these elections, that things are no longer perhaps the same for the BJP. I think it is in denial, no question about it. And to continue the narrative that it's business as usual, to my mind, is not such a great idea. There needs to be course correction along the way, but the BJP, to my mind, is completely in denial. Let's start right from the beginning. Let's do a bit of a quick recap of the time after the elections and all the number of missteps I think the BJP has taken since that. I think it actually started on the very day when the election results came in and the Prime Minister went to the BJP headquarters to make his speech. Let's first talk of the visuals then. The images then, it was apparent to everyone, and you could not hide the fact that the Prime Minister was not looking his usual self. He looked certainly downbeat, as was expected also. But the fact is, aside from the imagery, what really was disheartening was actually the speech of the Prime Minister at that point in time. I think if it had been the old BJP, if it had been the old kind of fighting spirit of the BJP would have come out fighting. It would have perhaps acknowledged in that speech, the Prime Minister would have acknowledged in the speech that some reversals had happened and they were prepared not only to look at that but to do something about it. But there was no there was no acknowledgement of the fact that those reversals had happened. It looked like a speech which was nowhere, and you could see the reaction of the Karyakartas or the ordinary party workers. They were looking demoralized when the Prime Minister had campaigning. They were looking even more after he had left. That was the first misstep, and that set the ball rolling, to my mind, for a number of other missteps after that. The major misstep which happened a couple of days later was when the Prime Minister went to the G7 summit to Europe. What was the need to go to the G7 summit? As I said, the party was in denial. Even I would say the Prime Minister was in denial. And to say that it was business as usual was not correct. What really should have happened was the Prime Minister should have cancelled that trip, send a message that domestic concerns were more important Foreign Minister Jaishankar could have gone and represented India on that trip. There was nothing so earth-shaking happened in the G7. In fact, all those images which came out of the G7 of the Prime Minister meeting, the Italian Prime Minister, and all those melody images and all that were unnecessary. There was almost like a denial of the seriousness of the situation, and perhaps the feeling was going in the country that this was a Prime Minister who was very successful abroad, but perhaps he was not addressing issues back home. So as I said, that was a misstep. The G7 could have easily been avoided, and the Prime Minister from day one after taking charge could have shown that same fighting spirit which has been his hallmark, which has been really his identity from day one. He could have cancelled that visit and got down to business, because domestic concerns were the real story at that point in time. So that happened. Then that speech in Parliament, that famous speech in Parliament, and this entire talk of Balak Buddhi. Very clever speech, very clever use of words, something to laugh about, but that is not summing up. Balak Buddhi is not summing up what the Congress party is today, what Rahul Gandhi has been transforming into. It is not even a patch on the transformation, the metamorphosis that is happening in the Congress party, which of course I will discuss a little later. That to my mind was too kind, a kind of an analogy to be given to Rahul Gandhi. That speech to my mind was not punchy, was not effective in countering the opposition narrative. And I fail to understand, knowing what the Rahul Gandhi would try or contrive rather to do in Parliament, knowing what the Congress party would have in mind when they came into Parliament, and it did not take a genius to understand at that point of view that the Congress party would be feeling triumphant, especially the Congress party. They would be making song and dance of all that in Parliament. Why wasn't the BJP strategy in place? Honestly, most of the BJP members in Parliament at that point in time looked like headless chickens. They were keeping quiet. The Congress stole the show, no question about it. And that was an opportunity loss. The parliamentary strategy should have been in place. It was not in place. But to my mind, the biggest misstep of that entire month really was that the BJP had been given an opportunity to change the narrative, to make the Congress go back on the defensive, to actually push home the advantage. And that was the issue of the rupees 8,500 monthly stipend, or whatever you want to call it, which Mr. Rahul Gandhi had promised to the women of this country. That promise obviously was not kept, as we all know by now. There were lines outside Congress party offices demanding that money. The money was obviously not paid because there was no such money. It had been a kind of a hoax call, a fraud call, or whatever you want to call it. And therefore, that was a ready-made opportunity which the BJP had, but nothing was done by the BJP to counter that. To my mind, some kind of a ground agitation should have been launched, especially from Uttar Pradesh, where the state where they had suffered the most reverses, to counter that narrative of the rupees 8,500. But now, as it appears more and more, as we know, there was so much infighting going on, there was so much uncertainty and confusion in the BJP, especially in UP, that nobody had any zest, nobody had any idea, nobody had any drive to start that ground campaign to counter the rupees 8,500. At the very least, that entire thing should have been challenged in the courts. Nothing of that sort was done. And therefore, a great opportunity which was missed by the BJP, and the Congress has been riding home triumphant ever since. So, huge missteps, right, as I said, from the speech to the G7 summit to the parliamentary speech, and also to this missed opportunity. And suddenly it appeared to me, or that's the feeling as an observer which I'm talking about, that the Prime Minister had lost that bite, that Prime Minister had lost the edge which he has always been known for. he didn't look that same kind of man. There was something which had gone missing, and if that was the end of it, sure, one could have recovered and gone on, but more missteps have been happening from that point onwards. And the biggest misstep also which happened around that time was this entire BJP RSS controversy. First of all, one could ask, and I don't want to get into the intricacies of it, you must have heard so much about it already, but if the BJP and the RSS share a symbiotic relationship, there is the relationship, as people say, of a parent and a child. Why were these matters not discussed behind closed doors instead of leaders, especially RSS leaders, coming out in the open and venting what looked like grievances to me? It seems as if there was nothing in common between the BJP and the RSS. Unnecessary controversy, washing dirty linen only, as you say, in public. It didn't benefit either the RSS or the BJP. In fact, it shook the belief of a lot of people that the RSS was like a parent cadre of the BJP. And honestly, one has to ask even the RSS that what did you gain out of all this? Are you trying to curry favor from the Congress party by making all those speeches, all those statements which you made during that time? It made absolutely no sense. And certainly the BJP has to be faulted for the fact that there was no management on the side of the BJP to ask the RSS not to say all that in public. These matters should have been settled, as I said, behind closed doors, but it was not done. This entire rift between the BJP and the RSS was out in the open, and to my mind, it has still not been sorted as yet. Whatever is going wrong has still not been fixed, and these are ominous signs both for the BJP and for the RSS. To the point, as we know, that the Deputy CM of Uttar Pradesh has now been talking about the fact that the Sangathan is more important than the party, than any office-bearing ministers. To my mind, a completely laughable statement. The Sangathan is organization. How can it be more important than the government? The government is the one which delivers to the people, not the Sangathan. But as I said, since the RSS BJP controversy has not been sorted, these issues have not been fixed. All this washing of dirty linen in public is going on, still going on. And then the other big misstep which has hit the BJP. Suddenly there were voices from within the BJP, certainly from outside, from the right-wing media which supports the BJP, that about the entire Muslim question in the BJP, everybody, or not everybody, but certainly a lot of people had started questioning the slogan of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that if the Muslims, especially among the minorities, had not voted for the BJP, then should all the welfare schemes, should all the beneficial schemes, all the housing, the gas connections, all should be given to the Muslim community, as if one has a choice out there. Again, as I said, this is a very incendiary issue. It is not an easy issue. One can understand the hurt, maybe even the anger of the ordinary BJP Karyakarta, because the Muslims, there is a narrative that they have cornered the benefits. They have taken the benefit, but they have not reciprocated by voting for the BJP. One can understand the hurt and the anger. But the fact is it as simple as this, that you exclude an entire community? How do you do that? I mean, in a democracy, can you do that? If you launch a scheme, you can't just publicly announce that we are not going to give to a certain segment of the community, or we are of people. We are going to exclude a certain community. How can it even be done? These were the issues which needed to be debated again internally within the party. No such effort was made, and therefore there were leaders from within the BJP who are again voicing this particular narrative in the public as if this is the most easy thing to do. To my mind, it is not at all easy. It really actually can't be done. in a particular way. The issue should have been addressed probably in a very different way. Something should have been done about this entire strategy. But again, this issue hit them out of nowhere. And what one saw at that time was no senior leader of the BJP, not even the Prime Minister, certainly not, no communication team of the BJP came forward to address this issue. This issue is still simmering. And as I said, this was another misstep. It didn't really burnish, it didn't really enhance the image of the BJP with all that was going on. Then the entire question of the communication strategy of the BJP. A lot of people have found Amraj at actually the head of the BJP IT cell with Malviya, and the way he is conducting these proceedings. Now again, whether he is doing a good job or not is not for me to say out here. But one thing is absolutely clear. The communication, the entire communication strategy of projecting what the party is doing is completely at odds. It is completely at odds with the reality. It is not in sync with what is really happening on the ground. I still get the feeling that the entire communication network of the BJP is still behaving as if it is business as usual. When I am repeating again and again, it is not business as usual. A lot of things have changed on the ground. And therefore, let's briefly touch on some of the points. As I've explained to you some of the confusion and some of the missteps the BJP has taken. But what has changed on the ground? I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but very quickly give you an idea. The single biggest thing which I think is changing on the ground is that, well, the Muslim vote was never really with the BJP in the first place. Maybe a certain percentage of it certainly has gone away if that was ever with the BJP. But what is really happening is that the new combination of the entire minority bloc, I would say the Muslims, the Sikhs and the Christians, along with the Dalit vote, the entire Dalit vote is now probably in the works. The Congress is working towards forming that into something to their advantage. That process is certainly going on. There are a lot of people who are dissatisfied, even in the core voters of the BJP. That also is happening, as now reports are coming in every day of the infighting which is going on in UP. It is certainly in Maharashtra, it seems to be a little better. But again, there are warning bells pealing for the BJP in the state of Maharashtra also. And in much of North India, the same problem is occurring. Are these issues being addressed? We don't really know, because as I said, there is no communications outreach by the BJP. We don't really know what they are thinking. They are still behaving, as I said, as if it's business as usual. The Hindi word for this entire thing is manthan. Is a manthan or is a churning going on within the BJP? Because I think that is the need of the hour, but it doesn't appear as if it is happening. Now, I've talked enough of the BJP. Let me also now talk a little bit about the Congress strategy on what has changed for the Congress. Why is the Congress looking suddenly so confident? Some would even say overconfident. Why is the Congress and especially Mr. Rahul Gandhi looking so aggressive? What is the reason for that? What is their new strategy? What is the new thinking? Let me quickly comment on that. If the BJP hasn't figured it out by now, then it's commentators like us who need to put this and put it out in the public domain of the new strategy of the Congress party. The Congress, mark my words, is determined now to play the role of a disruptor in Indian politics. What does it mean? It means that now the Congress in its new avatar is going to disrupt everything possible under the sun for the BJP government for the next 4 to 5 years. Everything. They will question you on everything. They will disrupt everything. They will create a narrative, a different narrative. Some would even say a false narrative, but whatever. But they will come out with their own idea on everything. There is going to be absolutely no meeting of minds on major issues, on foreign policy, on defense, and certainly not on domestic issues, on social issues, on community issues, nothing of that sort. The Congress is determined to act the role of a disruptor, and the sooner the BJP realizes this chain reality, the better it would be for the BJP to simply dismiss the Congress party and its leader as Balak Buddhi is not being completely fair. I think there is a lot of thinking which has gone in the back rooms of the Congress party. Whether this thinking is foreign inspired, where there are powers outside this country who are calling the shots, who are operating behind the scenes, behind the shadow wall, as we say, we don't know. I don't know, certainly. Whatever be the case, this is a new avatar of the Congress party. They are thinking quick on their feet, no question about it. They are reacting to every issue with a new kind of narrative. And if the BJP thinks that it can continue its old staid manner, then I'm afraid, and I'm telling you what is really going to happen is, the BJP is going to very soon, or if it hasn't already started, resembling the UPA 2 government, and the Congress will start resembling as the BJP of old, which was vying for power in 2014. That is a big change which is already happening to my mind. It's not coming, it's already happening. If the BJP doesn't change its ways, if the BJP doesn't change the narrative, if it doesn't react to what is going on and understand rather what is going on, then it's in for big trouble. And as for the Congress party, the strategy beyond disruption is this. They want to capture segment by segment, group by group, community by community, and then the next step is to win over as many state government in the state government elections, and finally a bid to power in the next general elections, whenever those elections might be. That is the Congress strategy, brick by brick, issue by issue, group by group, community by community. They are already in the process of welding together the minority community vote bank with the Dalit community. And obviously we know that the Dalit community is not one particular vote. There are hundreds of sections within the Dalit vote bank, but they are on work. They are working very hard out there. It's very clear. Then they will start chipping at the core voters of the BJP, among the higher caste, among the OBC, the dissatisfied Jats, the Rajputs, as we know, creating a Congress rainbow coalition. Those are the danger bells which are going off for the BJP. That is the Congress strategy, and they will be unrelenting. It's absolutely clear to me, seeing what Mr. Rahul Gandhi was doing in Parliament, what his team of people were doing in Parliament. They will be unrelenting in attack. The other thing which has also happened is Parliament suddenly, I have worked in Lok Sabha television so many years back. It was watched by a number of people even then, but now the viewership of Lok Sabha television has gone up exponentially. A lot of people watch Lok Sabha, and therefore they have figured it out very well. Mr. Rahul Gandhi will say things inside Parliament which he might not get away with speaking outside in public forum. So Parliament is the place to be, and unless the BJP comes up with a strategy in terms of countering this newfound aggression of the Congress party, unless it finds young speakers who will counteract what the Congress is doing on the floor of the House, if it finds what we call young guns, not only Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah to counter, or Nirmala Sitharaman, that is not enough. You need younger, better, tougher people to go after the Congress party. I'm afraid the Congress will walk over the BJP in parliamentary proceedings. They have already won a number of battles, and yes, the Prime Minister's sagacity, wisdom, his wit, all that is appreciated. But please remember, we are a young country. Youngsters are looking for something different. They're looking for, whether you like it or not, they're looking for aggression, they're looking for masala, they're looking for something that makes their day. And I'm not saying that Mr. Modi should descend to that level or whatever, but certainly they should field younger, tougher people to go after the Congress party, fight fire with fire, as it is called. That, to my mind, is the strategy of the Congress party, how they plan to go after the BJP, disrupt, come up with a totally new narrative, win over communities, groups, start taking ground, win over state elections, and then finally make a bid for power at the center. That is the strategy of the Congress party. So, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set for a very interesting clash between the BJP and the Congress, especially the Congress party, a new Congress party. In the past, people have been making fun of the Congress party, all of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, all the Pappu thing and all that. That is all history now. This is a new look Congress party, and if the BJP has to continue in its winning pace, then it has to shed skin. It has to come up with a new identity, but that new identity also should go back to the basics which were there in 2014. And I will end this podcast by reminding people of the basics of the BJP then. It was a party of change. It was a party of hope. It was a party of development. And if the BJP in its today, in its narrative, in its DNA can discover those qualities back again, there's no reason why it cannot once again rediscover its winning ways. But if they are mired more and more and they don't get out of this confusion in which they are completely sunk into, then I'm afraid it'll be soon all over for the BJP. And on this cautionary note, I end this podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this particular show. I keep saying, if you like my show, do subscribe to my show. Subscription is, of course, completely free. And as you have seen from the podcast, our ideas are different. They are new. So do subscribe to us, like our show, show us more and more likes. And thank you once again for watching the show. And cheers and good day to all of you.